Joe Pags Show. Call 210-737-1200 or 800-383-9624. And now, Joe Pags.
Hey, great to have you. Welcome to the program. Thanks to Joe Pags Show. Great radio stations across the land. iHeartRadio, joepags.com, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, email, all right there on a Wednesday. That is a hump day. Start the week in the bottom of the hill on a Monday morning. Get through Monday, get through Tuesday, get through Wednesday. After Wednesday, straight downhill to the weekend. From here, let's check in with Fergie.
My hump, my hump.
Dave.
My hump, my hump, my hump.
Dave.
My hump, my hump, my hump.
Dave.
My hump, my hump, my hump. Check it out.
Checking it out. Glad to have you. Welcome to the program. Thanks. There's a lot going on. Last hour, I talked to Lamar Smith, the chairman of the Science, Space, and Technology Committee. He and his committee are reporting that President Obama fired a scientist for turning in the information the Science, Space, and Technology Committee asked for, requested, and subpoenaed. And again, it was supposedly over global warming. Now, keep in mind, I say global warming because that's really what the left wanted us to believe it was. They only changed it to climate change when they noticed that the globe wasn't warming anywhere near as fast as it's said. And in fact, there are some studies that say it's cooling. So you had to change the terminology because they were losing us. And again, there are a lot of people who ask me, why are you so skeptical? Why are you a science denier? And I'm not. I actually have information that guides my thought process. And I've said it a million different times. Conservatives like me don't hate clean water or clean air. We don't want more pollution. We don't want more toxins and poisons in food or water or whatever, or our air. Everybody, no matter which side of the aisle you're on, wants clean water and air and food for our families and ourselves. But the whole idea of global warming was one that was spawned by people who want to control us. The idea that we're somehow warming at some strange pace and that it's not just nature, sorry, I don't think that we're as important in the bigger scheme of things as those who want to control us think we are. I don't believe that cow farts are causing the climate to increase in temperature. I don't. Sorry. I don't think that all of our cars and their emissions are doing it either. And the reason why I say that is actually very simplistic. I'm not a scientist. I'm just a realist. I'm a logical guy with some common sense. I know that there were ice ages. What does that mean? It means that a portion of, if not the entire globe, was covered in ice. We know that North America was and that South America was. And we also know that after everything froze, the ice melted. The question is, why? Why did the ice melt? Because it was way before we had, Cadillac Escalades and Hummer H2s. It was way before we had, cows at the number that we have now, because the population has increased so much that we're eating more beef. It was way before anybody ever thought about using an aerosol spray can. So why did the ice melt? And then many scientists will agree there were 2, 3, or maybe even more ice ages that we don't even know about. Why? Why did the ice keep on coming, and why did it keep on melting? Way before technology or the number of human beings that we have on the globe existed. That tells me that we probably have nothing to do with it. That our atmosphere and our climate goes through cycles. It is cyclical. I say set up by God. God. If you don't believe in God, you think that science did it or nature did it somehow. Okay. Whatever you think, there's no argument. Also, we know that 150 years ago, which is the time frame that we keep on looking at temperature then, temperature now, we didn't have thermometers that worked as accurately as the ones that we have now. We also know that the gauges to gauge hurricanes and their strength were nowhere near what they are now. We didn't have the high-definition satellite images that we have now. We did not have the ability back then that we have now. We do not have more hurricanes now than we used to have. In fact, back in the day, there were many people killed by hurricanes, and today, more people survive them because of our technology and our science. We've seen some record low temperatures on this planet since the term global warming came into the vernacular. And by the way, global warming no longer is allowed to be said because it's not really global warming. They look like fools when they say that. It's really climate change. How do you define climate change? Let me ask you this. How do you combat the term climate change? You can't. Because it's true. The climate changes. So they thought they came up with a way to shut us up. And also, when you do your research into global warming, look into the University of East Anglia that I brought up with Lamar Smith. The University of East Anglia altered emails or were found to say in emails, we have to figure out the data. We have to screw with the data to make it say what we need it to say. And then they said they lost the data. Then they said they moved from one office to another. They can't find the data. The UN won't give up its data. The EPA, the Environmental Protection Agency in this country, will not give the data to the Science, Space, and Technology Committee. Perhaps the data doesn't say what they say it says. That would be interesting, wouldn't it? So that's where we are. We live in a time where the global warming hoaxsters have to retain power and control. They have to tell us the way it is. And you're, well, why? What kind of power and control do they want? Pags, I don't get it. Okay, let's say that you're somebody who's on the fence and you buy everything I just said, all of which is factual, and you could go look it up yourself. The next question has to be, well, what do you mean power and control? How are they controlling us? What do you mean? Okay, if they convince all of us that global warming is real, how do they win? It's simple. It means central government gets to tell us what to eat, how much to eat, what to drive, when we can drive it, what to wear, where to work, how much money to have, where to live, how hot it can be, how cold it can be inside of your home or your apartment. They have control. Well, why do they want that control? Because people are power hungry by nature. That's why. And people like Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton and Nancy Pelosi and Harry Reid, and some would say many on the right as well, they think they know better than you how much money you should have, how high your air conditioning bill should be, how much gasoline your car uses. They think they know better than you. They are on some strange, weird superiority complex and power trip. And they somehow go to bed better at night and sleep harder at night, knowing that they have control of the masses. See, I'm somebody who believes that the masses are supposed to be free and liberated and able to drive what we want and eat what we want. I mean, provided we're not killing other people. See, that's how they do it. They say, yeah, but you're killing other people because you drive that SUV. You're killing other people. I mean, it is en vogue in some places in this country to throw red paint on people if they dare wear a fur, or throw red paint on a brand new vehicle if the person thinks it uses too much gas. This is how the central government controls them. It's all very interesting. But just ask yourself some simple questions. Why won't the UN give up the information? Why won't the EPA give up the information? Why did the University of East Anglia say that in those emails? And how did the ice melt so many times when we had ice ages and glaciers? How did that happen? So weird. Did the dinosaurs fart or something? I mean, what exactly was it that happened? So as much as you want to say that I'm a climate denier, no, I don't deny the climate. I agree that the climate changes. I agree that it changes, and it's wonderful to see the seasons. I also have just one last note, which is anecdotal and not empirical, but I like bringing it up anyway. You ever watch the news and they say, man, we're seeing the hottest temperatures we've seen since 1898. And I'm going, well, what the hell happened in 1898? We had too many cows? Were people test driving SUVs and we didn't know it? You know what I mean? It's the hottest temperature we've seen. It's the hottest week we've had since 1741. What? Well, what the hell were they doing back then? It's bogus. It's bunk. And again, we all agree. We want clean air, clean water, clean food. Absolutely. I'm not against renewable energy. I think that's great. But don't try to use your power and control to shut down coal mines, even when it's clean coal. Don't shut down our own exploration for our own fossil fuels while you're trying to keep us somehow dependent upon your buddies in the Middle East. That doesn't make sense. 1-800-383-9624, joepags.com. Stay right here.
Joe Pags.
Hey, great to have you. Welcome to the program. Thanks. I just blew the mind of ultra liberal John over on the Facebook camera. You know, I put up the live video, and the guy is just, man, he's just spinning in his wheels. He's just, man, he's dug a ditch. He's just spinning. Blah blah carbons. Blah blah do do. Deny anything I just said. Anything I just put out there. I triple dog dare you to deny anything I just said, and you can't. Blew his freaking mind. The guy's he's gonna go, man. That guy's just a lowly talk show host, but man, he just kicked my ass. 1-800 383-9624, joepags.com. See, I love educating the people. I do. I love educating the people. And I think Carrie would agree.
You were right.
Exactly right. Even when she's off, she's telling me how right I was. Let me go to the phone lines and say hello and welcome to Jim, who's in Yakima. Hi, Jim. What's going on?
Hi, Joe. Thanks for having me on today.
Talk to me, brother.
Hey, I took a weather and climate class back in the early 90s, and the markers just for the local forecast were only, the 24-hour and 48-hour forecast was like 90% on 24 and about 80% on 48. You start getting out to 4 days and beyond, it's literally flip a coin.
It is.
50-50 chance of what you're going to get.
It is.
And so I really agree with you, and I tend to wonder what the left side thinks and where they're getting this idea that we're creating this global warming, because are they thinking that, the dinosaurs died and gave off this methane, or they farted, and so if we ever bring them back by, the genetic markers, hey, maybe we'll tax the dinosaurs because they're going to cause another ice age, or what?
Yeah, no, that's exactly right. And, you bring up an interesting point. When I was a television news anchor, I had to be right 100% of the time. If I was wrong, then I could potentially lose my job. As a journalist, you had to be right back then. Today, those people calling themselves journalists, not so much. Weather people are trying to predict what God has set up for us or what God is doing, an act of God. And they can be wrong 50, 60% of the time, and nobody even says a word about it. So the idea that you can't get the forecast right in the 7 day and it changes as much as it does, that tells me that saying that we've done X, Y, and Z for the past 100 years means nothing. And when anybody ever says to you there's definitely global warming and it's a result of climate change caused by the emissions in your SUV, ask that person what the temperature was exactly 1,500 years ago where we're standing. And they can't answer the question because we don't know if it was warmer back then or if it was cooler back then. We can look at the rings of trees and maybe look at the ice formations, but beyond that, they really don't know. So the idea that somehow Obama knows and this consortium of some scientists say that they knows, I don't buy it. And I appreciate you, Jim. I think Jim brings up a very good point. Let me go back at it and say hi to Ty, who's in San Antonio. Ty, what's going on? Hi.
Hey, Joe. Thank you for taking my call.
Oh, you got it, man. What's happening?
Not much. You had me laughing before you went to the break because I thought you were spot on when you said, they talk about how it's, the hottest it's been since such and such date 200 years ago. And that's something I always think about because, what the heck was going on then? We had less people. We had less, SUVs, this and that to, put out these carbon emissions. So it's like you take advantage of people that are stupid. And when you talk about the left, you always want to remember that the end justifies the means. So whatever they're going to do, that's why I'm so amazed that Trump actually pulled this off, and I think it was actually God stepping in and saving us because we were up against a fight that we were outgunned totally. The progressive movement has become their religion, and they are looking for moral capital through environmental and civil rights. So they will always manipulate the story however they need to advance the cause, and they'll go from global warming to climate change, and in 10 to 15 years it's going to be a new slogan because it's not going to hold up. There's scientists out of Cal Berkeley and UCLA, it doesn't have much to do with the global warming thing, but just to speak to how, shaky science is in general, they're now talking about how they have no more evidence to speak to the evolutionary theory as they do to speak to creatism. So it's like you really want to take science with a grain of salt because it's kind of motivated by whatever agenda is throwing the money at it, No.
I hear you, but what's happened is we've sickened of it and we've tired of it, and I think we're going to have a period of time, Ty, and I always appreciate you. We're going to have a period of time where it doesn't really matter how much big money they throw at it. Either people will realize they've been indoctrinated with lies by people like Al Gore who spend $20,000 a month on their electric bill and fly around in a 1976 private jet that has more emissions than anything anybody's allowed to have now. Either they're going to realize that they bought the lies hook, line, and sinker, and they've allowed themselves to be indoctrinated and controlled, or they're going to wake up and say enough is enough. And I think in this election what we saw was a lot of people the vast majority of the geography of this country and of the electors in this country realized that enough is enough. At some point, when you take away so much freedom, so much liberty, and outregulate that freedom and liberty, you're going to be pushed out. Now, it really depends on what those who supported Trump and what Trump himself, what we do going forward. Because we have a real opportunity to screw this up. We also have a real opportunity to make solid change. Actually start educating people with facts in school. Actually teaching history. Actually teaching 2 + 2 is 4, and not 2 + 2 is 4, but is it reasonable that it's 5? I mean, we have to at some point get back to the basic values and tenets that have made this the greatest land on planet Earth. And we do that by starting to rebuke what's been dumped on us for so long. By the way, that guy John can't stop yapping over in my chat room. He actually called me an asswagon, which is my term. And you know, he's that close to getting banned. It just banned him right out of there. But I do think that my people over on the Facebook do enjoy beating him up. He gives it up with thermochemistry. Tell me what the thermochemistry was 2,000 years ago today where you're sitting, John. Oh, that's right. That's right. You can't. Because there was a period in time, and I don't know if it was the Renaissance period or another named era in mankind, that was warmer than we are now. And there were no SUVs, and there were no fluorocarbons, and there were no aerosol sprays, and the cows weren't farting up a storm. Explain why it was warmer then. And again, here's a guy who can't, but he'll continue to dig the hole, and continue to dig the hole because he has to. It reminds me a lot of this Scientology series that I'm watching with Leah Remini. It reminds me a lot of that because those people would have died for the leaders of Scientology, because they believed it so much. And they were okay with all the ridiculous provisions. Nobody needed to prove anything to them. Same thing with a guy like John. The guy just can't handle common sense, reason, and a direct question. Tell me the temperature where you're sitting 2,000 years ago. Why was it warmer or cooler then? Why? Why did the ice melt at least 3 different times? Why? Why did that happen? And why are we always saying, you know, it's the warmest we've seen since 1841? Why was it so warm in 1841? What the hell happened there? Can't do it. Just can't do it. In Al Gore's An Inconvenient Truth, it's been proven by scientists that there are a dozen or more inaccuracies. I think somebody said 18 or 19. Just completely inaccurate. But he's the idiot that went, the debate is over. Again, if you get into an argument with somebody who's a climate change, global warming dork, if you get into that sort of an argument, just go ahead and grab this monologue. Have them listen to what I said and have them refute any word that I said. And then look up Lord Monckton, who I've had on this program before, and find out the science he uses to disprove this whole idea of global warming. The left's so mad at him that at some global get-together, some climate get-together several years ago, people were throwing lettuce and cabbage at the guy. That's how weird the left is in this country, or around the world, to be honest with you. And this also, by standing up and using fact, irrefutable fact, like I just did, it also shuts down the idea of globalism controlling us, free liberated Americans. 1-800-383-9624. Stay here.
Joe Pags.
Hi, great to have you. Thanks. The Joe Pag Show, 1-800-383-9624. John, the alt-left lib on the Facebook feed, says he's leaving, but he's still sitting here watching and listening. He can't get enough now. The guy's hooked, and he might just have gone to the refrigerator for a little more Kool-Aid. Just going to put it right out there. I think he's probably going to have some more Kool-Aid. Let me go to the phone lines. A lot of people want to be heard on global warming / climate change. We do have to talk at length about Lena Dunham. And I'll ask you a simple question a little bit later on in the program. Why is this person famous? Why does this person get any sort of pop culture time, any time in our consciousness? Why is that? If you didn't hear what she said, I'll have it for you, and we'll get into it. We will. We'll get into it. We also we'll have the latest on the truck Islamic terrorist attack in Berlin. Have the latest on that in the program, too. Let me go to the phone line. So a lot of people want to be heard on this global warming garbage. Mike is in. Where are you? Mike says Huntington what?
Huntington Beach, California.
Beautiful. How are you? What's happening?
Good, thanks. Thanks for taking my call.
Yes, sir. Come on.
This progressive stuff has been going on for a long time with global warming and climate change. I remember back, I'm old enough to remember, during the Carter administration, they gave a threat of global cooling, and we were supposed to be in an ice age by the turn of the century.
Right.
If I'm not mistaken, I think the turn of the century was almost 17 years ago, and I still haven't seen that ice age.
No, it's not happening. You're right. In the 1970s, it was on the cover of Life magazine. We're in an era of global cooling. It never happened, and I think they figured out that they could not control the masses by saying that, so they changed it to global warming, and a lot more people bought it.
Right.
All right, brother. Yeah, I appreciate it. I mentioned that earlier. I guess you probably hadn't been listening yet. Let me go to the phone line and say hi to Michael, who's in Dripping Springs, Texas. Hi, Michael. What's going on?
Hey, Joe, thanks for taking my call. Yeah, I was just going to comment on that East Anglia thing. I was glad you brought that up. Yeah, there was probably over a number of years, thousands and thousands of emails between East Anglia and Penn State. Some scientist named Michael, I forget his last name, but they were just trying to manipulate that data to fit the conclusion they wanted. And I was going to mention Lord Monckton, but you mentioned him, just a few minutes ago. You ought to get him back on the show, man. He's a hoot. He's really on top of those guys, man. He crashes all their parties when they have these global warming meetings. He's there fighting them all the way tooth and nail, man. Well,
I have not had Lord Monckton on in a while, but I've got to get him back on because that was one of the best interviews I think I ever did. Not because I was doing it, because he was saying it, with a guy who really knows the ins and outs. And, when the left is throwing cabbage at you at a get-together, that means that you really get under their skin. I think it's pretty good stuff, Michael. I appreciate you. 1-800-383-9624, joepags.com. Liz is in Katy. Hi, Liz. What's going on?
Hey, I remember, I'm 57 years old. I remember in the 70s, the same thing, them telling us that it was going to be, so cold. And what they have now, they don't want an alternative energy. They want an alternative industry, which means, bringing in the solar, the wind, because those are green. Those are so green. It's not like the dirty oil dollars. And
I'm listening.
Yeah, and, that's what they want to do now because that makes them happy.
All right. No, I got you. I think it's more than making them happy, Liz, to be honest with you. I think it's more than that. I think that it's a matter of, these people are foos. These are friends of Obama. These are friends of Hillary Clinton. These people are people that, like Solyndra. I mean, just look it up, man. I mean, millions upon millions of dollars just wasted and gone. But there were sweetheart deals made. Yeah, it's... At the end of all of it, again, I'll say what I said in the beginning, and it's the truth. Everybody on every side of the political spectrum wants clean air, clean water, clean food. That's what we want. We want sustainable. Renewable is fine. I've got no problem. Look, my car will run on vegetable oil, and it won't. But if it will run on vegetable oil, and it could save me some money, and it's cleaner, fine. but don't outregulate, the gas industry, the oil industry, which is doing a lot for the environment, by the way. Don't outregulate them. Don't say no to a pipeline. What always jumped out at me, and the reason why I bring up Keystone XL, and I did with Lamar Smith last hour, the reason why I bring up Keystone XL is actually pretty simple. We're already getting that oil. We're just not piping it in. We're either getting it through rail, which helps Warren Buffett, or we're getting it through trucks, or we're getting it from a foreign land that may or may not like us, and that may or may not be giving us a fair shake. We've got a steady stream of this kind of crude that we have the ability to refine in the Gulf. From our friend in Canada. This is somebody, I don't foresee us being at war with Canada anytime soon. I don't foresee Canada becoming Venezuela or Saudi Arabia anytime soon, or Iran. Canada's going to be our friend forever. So why not get it from them? See, that's the thing that I've never understood. Obama says, can't do it. Can't drill. And then he helps to facilitate Brazil getting a bunch of offshore drilling. So Obama doesn't care about the potential oil issues offshore in South America, but he does care about it here. Why? Who's he punishing? Who's he helping there? Why is he helping them? It's another level of this president trying to make us an also-ran, trying to make us not exceptional, trying to say that we're not a superpower and that how we got here was no good. And now we've got to spread the wealth around a little bit with something he said before. You remember the whole Joe the Plumber thing, right? 1-800-383-9624, joepags.com. Frank is in Minneapolis. Hi, Frank.
Hey, Joe. My wife and I love what you and Terry do every night.
Thank you. You probably love what I do, but go ahead. Yeah.
Listen, you've touched on a number of topics. Canada is definitely our number one trading partner, and we ought to do everything we can to enhance that relationship at all points in time. But the reason I wanted to pick up the phone is, I've always looked at these pictures in the paper where the water level is receding in the lake, and there's the old shack sitting there from the 1800s that clearly we're going back to something that has happened at least once before in the history of time. And the last of the three topics I wanted to touch on with you tonight is, the liberals are sitting out there saying, popular vote, popular vote. Well, last I checked, the way the Electoral College works is the popular vote at the state level. And that's what won. So shut up about it. Let's be done with it.
Well, there you go. It's exactly right. Let's be done with it. 1-800-383-9624, joepags.com. Back at it. A lot of people want to be heard on this. Then we'll move on. I have to know what's up with Lena Dunham. Why Lena Dunham is a thing. I just have to. That's the way the kids say it today, right? Is she a thing? No? Mark is in Washington. Mark, what's up?
Hi, first-time caller.
Thank you.
Hey, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I said thank you.
Oh, hey, wanted to find out who makes all the money on those carbon credits.
Who makes all the money on the carbon credits? Well, I know that Al Gore was involved in the industry that was going to be collecting or keeping track of them.
Yeah, it mind boggles me that we have fallen so far to where we're going to pay people for something that doesn't exist.
Well, no, it's something that we've made up. I mean, quite honestly, people in central government has made up the idea of carbon credits and, who's using more and who's not using more. This is just an idea of how to get power and control over the people. I think that you sound like you understand that. And if we can make up a term that nobody can really define or not define, then the masses will just shut up and do it.
Yeah, I'm not cheap. I won't pay for it.
I'm with you, brother. All right. We appreciate you. Thank you. Open line now. 1-800-383-9624, joepags.com. Tex is in Oklahoma. Tex, talk to me.
Hey, man, I'm down here in your buddy Pat Campbell's station here in Tulsa.
Cool.
My question is, I absolutely don't buy into the global warming theory, but I tell you what really my question is, how do you explain the all of the earthquakes that Oklahoma's been having? We've had an explosion of earthquakes in the last 10 years, up to a 5.4 on the Richter scale, just over the last few years. So obviously something that someone, they're kind of blaming it on the oil companies, but something that someone's doing is causing that to explode. Would you not think that there could be something that we're doing to cause the same thing with the weather?
No, because if you heard my explanation in my monologue off the top, the weather can't be, you can't point to the weather and say 2,000 years ago this never would have happened, because there are times in mankind, in the era of man walking Earth, where it's actually been warmer than it is now. And there isn't a really good explanation for it. As far as earthquakes in Oklahoma, I have no clue. I have no idea. I would talk to a seismologist about that. I have no idea. But the idea that we must be doing something, that's why there are earthquakes, I can't even go there. I mean, the idea that we somehow control the core of the earth doesn't make sense to me. But when it comes to the weather, I'll say it again. There have been several ice ages, and it was way before anybody was using an internal combustion engine. And those glaciers all melted. And nobody can tell me why they melted if they're saying that the reason we're warming up now is because of something we're doing. You following me?
Oh, I agree, yeah.
All right, brother, we appreciate you. Open line now. 1-800-383-9624, joepags.com. Appreciate you stopping by. When we come back, I've got to ask you the simple question. Why is Lena Dunham a thing? And if you want to call in and defend Lena Dunham, I'm listening, because I don't get it. 1-800-383-9624, joepags.com. Stay right here.
Don't be an A-dub. Stay with the Joe Pags Show.
Di, great to have you. Welcome. It is the Joe Pag Show. 1-800-383-9624. Karina, what's the name of the show this Lena Dunham is on, please? Lena Dunham is on, what is it, Sisters? Sisterhood? Something like that? I don't know. I certainly have never seen it. I've heard that that Lena Dunham has, she's known on that show for walking around naked. And from what I understand, is she not somebody that should be walking around naked? Going to put it out there? I don't know. Lena Dunham has said some pretty disgusting things. She talked about voting for, I think this was her, who did some video about voting for Barack Obama and compared it to losing your virginity or something. And then she wrote in her book something about how she touched her sister between the legs and it was natural to explore or something like that. Lena Dunham also has been a vehement supporter of Planned Parenthood and abortion. And recently, as reported by Karina yesterday, Lena Dunham on some podcast called Women of the Hour said, now I can say that I still haven't had an abortion, but I wish I had. Now, I'm looking at a picture of this person who, I don't know, looks like a dork, has green hair for some reason. The headline is, Lena Dunham apologizes for saying, I wish I had an abortion. It's from the Associated Press. Lena Dunham has apologized for saying she wished she'd had an abortion. Dunham made the comment on last week's episode of her Women of the Hour podcast. While talking about a self-realization, she said that even though she speaks against stigmatizing abortion, she found herself saying adamantly that she had never had one, or when she was asked to be part of a project involving women discussing their abortions. In reference to this contradiction, she said, now I can say I still haven't had an abortion, but I wish I had. The comment drew criticism online on Tuesday. The name of the show is Girls. The, quote, Girls star apologized on Instagram for what she called a distasteful joke. She said she would never, ever intentionally trivialize the emotional and physical challenges of terminating a pregnancy. I just want to go back to my original question. Why is Lena Dunham a thing? Why is she a star? Why is she somebody that we turn to for some sort of public? And you're like, well, you're talking about it on your show. Well, yeah, because it's ridiculous. Things been trending all over social media. As if it matters what Lena Dunham does or doesn't say. You know, I've known people who have had abortions, and they have been remorseful, and they feel horrible about it, and they're afraid to talk about it. And, they feel, many of them feel, man, I really wish I could go back and not do that. Lena Dunham being so pro-abortion and so out there about it and laughing about, yeah, I wish I had one. Doesn't make any sense. The apology is correct, but what is the mindset of a person who says it to begin with? I haven't had an abortion yet, but wish I had. Who says that? Who in their right mind goes, this will be funny? I don't think she said it to be funny. I think she said it because she meant it. And how is it that she's so damaged that she grew up in either a household or in a community or in a time that that told her that not only is abortion something that should be legal, and there's a legal argument to be made there. I disagree with it, but there's a legal argument to be made there. But that somehow she's now taken the next step and said, well, I wish I had one. And, I'm going to destigmatize it. What's the big deal? It shouldn't be stigmatized at all. You get an abortion, whatever. And I guess I'm going to go back to my initial question. Why is she somebody who's in our public spectrum, in the public square? I mean, maybe she's a good actress. I've never seen her act in anything. I don't know. I think I've seen her on Saturday Night Live. Not funny, just stupid. Why? Who sees this person and says, yeah, this is the next star. Let's put her on that show. 1-800-383-9624 if you care to comment to me about why this person is available to be seen on television or on social media or in a podcast. Again, maybe I'm missing it. Maybe there's something about Lena Dunham I've missed. Dick, Houston, what's happening?
Tags, yes. Lena Dunham is Miss Stupid, and how you're asking why we keep talking about her, because folks like you keep bringing her up saying, why is she on the screen or why is she on the headlights of the American public? She's an idiot. And talking about abortion, it's a critical thing, and folks want to talk about it. She wants to say she wishes she had an abortion, but I want to take you back to where
I don't want to be taken back. I want to ask you a simple question. Why is this person on my TV? I don't watch her show, but who said to themselves, this is a talented person, I need part of my show?
Well, obviously, Joe, you know how it works. You sell yourself, just like on your great show. If you didn't talk, you wouldn't have any advertisers, and you wouldn't be on the radio right now. Obviously, there's a lot of other stupid people that want to pay to put her on the air, Joe. That's how it works. It's nuts and bolts. It's 1 and 2 makes 3. It's very simple. Please let me take you back.
Dick, I got to run. I'm almost out of time. Give me 20 seconds. Go.
Yeah, very good. 20 seconds. She said during the Trump campaign she would leave the country. Why hasn't she left? And who is Lena Dunham? You should be saying, who?
Exactly right, Dick. I appreciate you. Yeah, again, I said it right before he called in. People will say, why are you talking about her? Because I need to know why she's a thing. 1-800-383-9624. Stay right here.
This is the Joe Pags Show. Joe Pags Show. Call 210-737-1200 or 800-383-9624. And now, Joe Pags.
Hey, great to have you. Welcome to the program. Thanks. It's the Joe Pags Show. Great radio stations across the land. iHeartRadio, joepags.com, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, email on a Wednesday. That's a hump day. Start the week in the bottom of the hill on a Monday morning. Get through Monday, get through Tuesday, get through Wednesday. After Wednesday, straight downhill to the weekend. From here, let's check in with Fergate.
My hump, my hump.
Dave.
My hump, my hump, my hump.
Dave.
My hump, my hump, my hump.
Dave.
My hump, my hump, my hump. Check it out.
Checking it out. 1-800-383-9624. I'm not going to spend much time on the topic of Lena Dunham because it just, because I don't want to. I just be perfectly honest. I don't want to. Ew. Karina, are you back? I've got to talk to Karina about this because I wonder if she watches this show, Girls. Do you watch this Girls show?
No, I don't watch it.
Have you ever seen the Girls show?
I've seen an episode or two because we're over at a friend's house and they thought they love it. And so they were having like a, watch party.
Okay, so glad to hear that they love it. Why do they love it? What is this show about?
I don't know.
I understand she's naked half the time.
She wasn't in the episode that I saw, but that's what they said also, and that's what I hear all the time. I didn't see anything that was, it just seems like, let me see, like not a Gilmore Girls, but like One Tree Hill type show.
Don't know what that is. Just girls sitting around talking and stuff, or what?
Yeah, just like life. I didn't really know what it was. You can't really gauge what a show is about off of one episode, but like they're all in college and
when you were watching it, were you like, wow, what a great actress?
No.
Do we know where she even came from? How did she even get the job? Do we know?
No, talking to one of the callers, I think they mentioned that she was in a movie and then she got a TV show. I know that she kind of got a little bit more famous because Taylor Swift a couple years ago mentioned her and thought she was a great, I think she produces the show, right?
Taylor Swift does?
No. Lena Dunham produced the show and she wrote it.
I have no clue if she wrote the show or what she does.
Yeah, I think that's what Taylor Swift was talking about. But other than that, I don't really know.
Isn't she the one that compared voting for Obama to losing your virginity in one of the election cycles? And she's also the one who in her book wrote that she basically sexually assaulted her sister, right? My baby sister, and there it was. And so I had to touch this or touch that. I'm like, really? And this person still somehow is being held up on high by pop culture in this country? Really?
I kind of have seen Taylor Swift kind of like step away from her.
Well, I would hope so.
Yeah, after that story with the little sister thing in her book. But I don't understand what her deal is. I understand people like her because she's very real and genuine, but it doesn't, like her comment, I know I didn't listen to the podcast, but I don't think her comment in any context is appropriate.
Well, no, of course not. I can't, and she tries to apologize today, but you're very real. I'm very real. Being real doesn't mean that you have to be an ignorant idiot.
Right.
I don't know. All right, I'm going to take a couple of calls on Lena Dunham, then I'm done. Because I honestly can't talk about this person. She said something disgusting. It's trending everywhere. I had to bring it up because there it is. And if you've got kids and they're floating around, make sure they're not into this Lena Dunham who seems to have some sort of an issue mentally. Let me go to the phone lines and I'll say hello and welcome to Eric, who's in San Antonio. Eric, what's going on?
How's it going, Joe?
Living the dream, man. What's up?
Well, as much I know about as much about Lena Dunham as you've said. I've never seen her on anything. I don't watch any of her shows or anything like that. But I want to play devil's advocate here for a minute. Because the thing that really kind of kills me is that Democrats, they only see their side. Republicans only see their side, so on and so forth. I think what she said is deplorable. I've never had an abortion, but I wish I had. But also in my mind, she's polarizing. You ask the question, why is she in one? I think it's because, number one, she commands an audience and she can bend that audience in her direction. It's no different. Her saying that to me is no different than someone who is aligned towards the right, saying, "You know what? I've never shot someone in defense of my life or in defense of my property, but I surely would." You know, to me, it's just as polarizing a comment as that. And the reason that she does that is because, you know, it sells.
Well, I'm going to give you credit for being smarter than that comparison just was, because I know that you call in all the time and you listen to the program, but that was a really, really, really bad comparison. I mean, talking about defending your family, your homestead, and your stuff in your life with a firearm, comparing that to killing an unborn child doesn't make any sense. I mean, both sides agree you're killing the... No, hold on. It's not just issue to issue, though. One issue is a real moral issue, whereas the other issue is self-defense. There's no comparison there. I get what you meant, but I don't see the comparison. And the reason why I'm asking about Lena Dunham isn't to find out why she said it. She's a left-wing, alt-left loon. I know why she said it. My question is actually much simpler than that. Why is she somebody who's even famous? I guess I don't get that. Normally, a famous person has a broad draw. At least half of the people in America immediately would have no draw to her whatsoever. That's why I don't get it.
No, and I agree with that, and I'm not drawing a moral equivalence between the two. I'm saying that it is a intentionally inflammatory and intentionally polarizing statement, and I agree that, you know, defending your life is something that is morally, and defending your family is morally allowable. But at the same time, you know, killing someone over property, I don't know if I necessarily agree with that. There are people that fall all along that spectrum, and I can allow for that. I don't have a problem with that.
So somebody comes into your property, because now we're going off on a tangent here, but I'll do it with you. Somebody comes to your property and they're stealing crap from your house. You pull up and you're saying, "Leave with my property. Hurry up! I don't want to shoot you." I mean, you're saying that you wouldn't shoot somebody to protect your stuff, because if your stuff is at odds, hold on. If your stuff is at odds, what's to stop them from trying to hurt you or your family? Why wouldn't you defend that?
No, I understand. You know, if I walk in the house and there's someone in there, you know, stealing my stuff, I got to kill him, is what's in my mind. I got to kill him because I don't know who else is in the house.
Right.
And I can't leave this guy, you know, unwatched.
Right.
So I understand, you know, completely. But what I'm saying is that there's, in a soundbite, you know, in a soundbite said in the mass media, you know, I'm not going to, you know, find a microphone to I wish somebody would be in my house so that I could kill them. You know, that's not my position. I hope to God that I never have to point a gun at anyone.
Yeah, no. Well, what she said was reprehensible. What she said was reprehensible. What she said was reprehensible about her little sister. What she has said is reprehensible about comparing voting for Barack Obama to having sex for the first time. She's a reprehensible person. Thus, my question: why is she somebody who is looked to as some sort of a famous person? It doesn't make sense. Eric, I appreciate you. Open line now. 1-800-383-9624, joepags.com. Last call on this, and I'm done with Lena Dunham, and it's going to be Mark in Missouri. Mark, what's going on? Talk to me.
Joe Pags, love the show.
Thank you.
Can't wait to get you on in Kansas City.
Thanks, brother. Appreciate that.
I can't tell you why Lena Dunham's famous. I really have no answer to that. I think she gets the run she gets. I call it the Martin Sheen principle. You take a random celebrity, inflate their ego, and elevate them, and whatever vomits out of their mouth, people just lap it up. And it doesn't even matter what it is.
Why?
It's ridiculous.
Why? Who looks at her and says, "Man, she's awesome"?
I don't know. I don't even know who she is.
Yeah.
But obviously, there are millions out there that just follow this stuff, and maybe it's the drama that she stirs up. I don't know, but it makes no sense to me. We idolize these people and put them on a pedestal they have no business being on. Her opinion means no more than anybody else's.
I got you, and I appreciate you. Thanks. Well, my opinion means more. I'm just going to put it out there. 1-800-383-9624. Done with that. I do, though, I have an update on a story when we come back. It's a story. Remember the black church in Mississippi that was burned down and somebody painted on the outside, "Vote Trump"? Remember that? The black church, a southern church in Mississippi, the Hopewell Baptist Church, was set on fire, and somebody wrote "Vote Trump" on the side in spray paint. Well, they've arrested a person now. You might be surprised by who it is. We'll have that for you when we come back on the Joe Pags Show. Stay here.
This is the Joe Pags Show.
Hey, glad to have you. Welcome to the program. Thanks. The Joe Pags Show. 1-800-383-9624, joepags.com. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, email. It's all right there. Make sure you stop by. Love to hear from you. There's a lot going on. So there was this story not that long ago. It was, I believe, right before the election, where a black church, a Southern Baptist church in Hopewell, Mississippi, or in Mississippi. I'm not sure if the city is Hopewell, but it's called the Hopewell Missionary Baptist Church. It's actually Greenville. And the allegation was that some sort of white supremacist or the KKK or somebody went and burned down this church, and it proved that there was some sort of link between Donald Trump and white supremacists and this alt-right thing, whatever the hell it's supposed to be. Well, here's the update from the Clarion Ledger. The Clarion Ledger, part of the USA Today network, it says. Arrest made in Black Mississippi church burning. This is from Sarah Fowler from the Clarion Ledger. An arrest has been made in the Greenville church burning. Andrew McClinton, 45 years old, of Leland, was arrested Wednesday for setting Hopewell Baptist Church on fire and scrawling "Vote Trump" on the side in spray paint, according to Warren Strain with the Mississippi Bureau of Investigation. McClinton has been charged with one count of first-degree arson of a place of worship, Strain said. Strain said the investigation was ongoing and declined to comment further. A motive has not yet been released. The fire was set November 1st. The church is approximately 6 miles from McClinton's residence. Hopewell Bishop Clarence Green could not immediately be reached for comment. However, Green told the Associated Press McClinton is a member of the congregation. The church was a total loss, according to Greenville Fire Chief Reuben Brown Sr. 2 weeks after the fire, Brown said samples taken from the fire tested negative for accelerant, but investigators still believe the fire was arson. We don't know if it was a direct flame contact with clothes or paper, but this here is an ongoing investigation. It still remains to be an arson investigation, Brown previously said. Brown could not immediately be reached for comment. Police Chief Delando Wilson previously told the Clarion Ledger that a person of interest volunteered to be interviewed. It is not known if McClinton was that person of interest. They haven't really said anything other than the guy's name, right? I mean, not really saying much else about him. They're not really describing him at all. The story continues. The fire quickly made national news as rumors and accusations swirled about it being a hate crime. Hopewell is a predominantly black church. A GoFundMe page set up to raise funds for the church secured more than $200,000 in 2 days. The page has since been taken down. Greenville Mayor Eric Simmons previously vowed, "We will not rest until the culprit, be they male, female, black, white, Republican, or Democrat, is found and prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law." McClinton is currently in the custody of the Washington County Detention Center, awaiting an initial appearance in Greenville Municipal Court. They're not really explaining. They're not really explaining much more about the guy. Well, I'll go ahead and tell you what the picture tells me. The suspect in this case, McClinton, is black. Now, how does that change this story? Does it? Does it change the story? Well, I think it does. Because everybody but everybody was quick to say this is a hate crime. This is hate-filled. This is some white supremacists, maybe the Klan itself, the Aryan Nation, attacking a black church in the South, burning it, and spray painting "Vote Trump" on the side. And the person they have in custody, the person they think, they're calling him a suspect, they think he did it, is a black man, 45 years old. Now the story just goes away. And people will walk around in their everyday life saying, yeah, remember when that white supremacist tried to burn down that black church in Greenville? Remember that? Won't hear a whole lot about this story other than it's being investigated as a hate crime. Is it a hate crime anymore? I've always questioned the idea that there is such thing as a hate crime. Think about it this way. This man, according to authorities, is the suspect in the burning of a church and the spray painting of "Vote Trump" on the side. Immediately the question was, is this a hate crime? Should it be prosecuted as a hate crime? Now that we've found out that he's a black man, nobody's talking about hate crime anymore. And here's the thing. If it was a hate crime before, and it's the exact same crime now, why do you take that demarcation off? This is why I've always said hate crime legislation, hate crime laws are stupid. Because if you try to burn down a church and spray paint the side of it. That's vandalism on whatever degree you want to name it. And that's what it is. Doesn't matter what the intention or the intent was behind it, or what the race of the person was who did it. I think when we say it's a hate crime, we change, somehow we try to change for political correctness reasons. We try to change, the way that our society values itself. If somebody attacks a person, the person who got attacked happens to be gay, it's a hate crime. If they're straight, not a hate crime. They have the same injuries. It was the same attack at the same time of day for the same reason. But it's not a hate crime because he sleeps with a different, gender or person. It's a very odd thing to me. So let me ask you this. Did you believe when you initially heard this story? It was on November 1st. There was this, in my opinion, and I said it at the time, was an attempt to sway the election away from Trump. Look, there are racists out there and horrible people trying to alter and blah, blah, blah. Now that we know who they have in custody, did you walk around believing that this was a hate crime? Did you take that fake news story, and it became fake when they started talking hate crime and about why somebody would have written vote Trump? Did you take that story and believe it? Are you now more skeptical? Now that the term fake news has come out, hashtag fake news is everywhere. Have you started being more skeptical of the news? When polled, people in America say that they don't trust the news media at all. It's like 11% or something stupid, maybe 18%. It's very, very low, the trust level for the American media. Yet still, as much as you say you don't trust them, you still do. You still believe it. You still go to the water cooler tomorrow and talk about that hate crime in Greenville. Are you more apt to not just believe it hook, line, and sinker? Are you more apt to do more of your own research on the internet yourself? Are you more apt to question when somebody says, look at this, a black Baptist church, a Southern Baptist church in Greenville, Mississippi, was burned and somebody wrote, vote Trump? Will you not be so quick to just assume that the story that you're hearing is true? Will you now say, yeah, but who might have done that? And what might the reasons be? And remember what the source is. We're getting this from the news media. The idea that we should just believe it, I'm not so sure. 1-800-383-9624, 1-800-383-9624, joepags.com. I'm also going to bring up a story about Ivanka Trump. Ivanka Trump auctioned off a cup of coffee. Have some coffee with Ivanka Trump. And she has been attacked. Here's the headline from the New York Post. Available to the highest bidder. Coffee with Ivanka Trump. Oh, yeah. It's being covered as if it's somehow pay to play. You pay for this cup of coffee through this auction, and now you get access. Now you get access to the Trump family and to the next president. That's the way it's being sold in the media. What's interesting about it is she's actually doing it for a really good cause. I'm not even sure if that cause is even mentioned in this story. I hope so. I'm going to read it to you when we come back. But, I mean, come on, dude. Come on. And they're calling it an ethical problem. How is that an ethical problem? You're raising a bunch of money for charity for a really good cause. 1-800-383-9624, joepags.com. Stay here.
This is the Joe Pags Show.
Hi, great to have you. Welcome. It is the Joe Pags Show. Great radio stations all over. iHeartRadio, joepags.com, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, email, all of that and more. Your comments on the suspect arrested in the church burning and the Vote Trump spray painting in Mississippi. Your comments on that. A lot of people want to be heard on that. But I want to give you the story of Ivanka Trump. And the fact that she auctioned off a cup of coffee, where you can get to sit down and have a cup of coffee with her, made $60,000 or $70,000. And now the New York Times started this, and others are jumping on board. This is pay to play. This is unfair. This is wrong. This is unscrupulous and unethical. We'll have that story for you, too. Let me go to Patty, who's in Minneapolis. Hi, Patty.
Hi, Joe. How are you?
I'm living the dream. What's happening?
Well, long time since I talked to you. I had a feeling that it was exactly like it was going to play out. I really thought it was somebody close to the church that possibly was African American or black that did this. And it just was a hunch because I heard of a case I don't remember if it was here in Minnesota or where I think it was up here where some lady was sending herself hate crime or hate emails and all kinds of crazy stuff like that and saying that it was white supremacists that were doing it, and actually she was sending them to herself.
Wow.
I don't know if you ever heard of that case.
I did not, but was it just for attention? What was the story?
She ended up getting fired, but that wasn't until after she had all kinds of counseling and stuff. The story was, I think it was up here in Minneapolis. The story was she was sending herself emails and saying that white supremacists were sending her hate mail and threatening her life and on and on and on, and it was all these hate crimes, and they were investigating so on, and it turned out she was sending them to herself after I can't remember who got called, if the FBI got called in or who got called in on the case. It was really strange like that, and I thought, I just got a feeling it's something on that order. Wouldn't that be something if it turned out that it was somebody from the church, or if not somebody from the church, just a black person in the area? So
well, I think what bothers me the most about it, Patty, is that the media now will not cover it with the same veracity that it covered the initial attack. You know what I mean?
Joe, they never do. I mean, look at the couple that got beat up a couple of years ago down in, I can't remember if it was in the Carolinas, down in the South someplace, and they didn't even look for the suspects until somebody plastered it all over Fox News or whatever. I don't know if you remember that case, but it just was really, really strange. So I'm not surprised. And is it a hate crime, Joe? Yes, it is, because it causes strife between the races. It's just another thing where people dig in and look for a reason to hate one another.
But you know as well as I do, they won't cover it as a hate crime anymore because the suspect is a black guy. And you're right, they should. I mean, this is just as hateful, or get rid of any laws or legislation that call it a hate crime. I appreciate you, Patty. Again, the whole term hate crime, I think it binds the wrists of law enforcement and of prosecutors. Just call it what it is. It's a church burning. It's a spray painting. It's a murder. It's a hit and run. It's a drunken driving. I mean, adding some extra component to it, to me, sullies the actual crimes that are happening to people that aren't allegedly based on or the context isn't through race or some sort of anti-gay or anti-something. I just say make laws and stick to them. Adding something else like it's a hate crime to it, I don't think does. It's not like people are going, I was going to burn that church down, but from what I understand, it's a hate crime, and that makes the punishment worse or something, so now I'm not going to burn it down. That is not a deterrent. Again, let me be as clear as I can. Raise the stakes for all crimes if that's what you're trying to do by calling something, making a demarcation of hate crime. If that really means really extra time if you're convicted, make there extra time for anybody doing a similar crime. Forget the context. Unless it's self-defense, if you say it's in malice, well, then prosecute it that way. I'm not really sure I understand why there has to be a difference. Let me go back at it and say hi to Donna, who is in Mississippi. Hi, Donna. What's going on?
It's going fine, Joe. Thank you for taking my call.
Yes, ma'am. I
was reading line at a very reputable news agency whenever you announced that you were going to talk about this in your next segment. Yeah. And there's actually an update on this story. They have arrested the man, and the sad part is he was a member of the congregation.
How big a story is this? Are they covering this in Mississippi the way that I think it should be covered? This should be a huge story.
Well, I only get my news offline and
Right.
one main source, two main sources, but this is a source that you would approve of. And I tried to email the article to you, but I didn't have your address correct, so I couldn't get that done. So I called.
It's Pags at joepags.com, Pags at joepags.com. Okay, so they're covering it that not only is this guy the guy they think did it, he was also a member of the congregation. Any sort of motive?
No, nothing disclosed because it's an ongoing investigation, they say.
And what's interesting to me is the motive. It's going to be one of two things. He's mad at somebody at the church who's going to burn it down, but the fact that he spray paints, again, this is all alleged and he's a suspect, police say, he spray paints the side with Vote Trump. You got to think he's trying to tell people in the neighborhood, look at how bad this would be if Trump wins. We better not vote for him, because this was more than a week, or actually this is just about a week before the election.
It was on the 1st, and the election was on the 7th. That's
Right.
correct. And I agree. He's mad in the head. The same people don't do this.
Yeah.
So he has a motive. We don't know what that motive is.
I'm with you, Don. I appreciate you calling in. Let me go to Marty, who's in Michigan. Hi, Marty. What's going on?
Christmas, Joe.
Hey, Marty, what's happening?
So I'm totally with you on this hate crime, and I'm just wondering what your take is on prosecutorial prejudice when these people have hate crime put on their charge, and how that affects due process. I think that now I have to defend myself and prove that I'm not prejudiced against whatever different sect that the prosecutor chose to call a hate crime.
Well, I think the big problem that I have is very similar to what you're saying. When somebody says it's a hate crime, how did we get there? Who is the subjective person that gets to say, yes, hate crime, no, not hate crime? And I think a story like this really exposes the problems with any sort of laws or ordinances that put the word hate in front of it. Because everybody was willing to jump on this bandwagon and say, that's a hate crime. Now that we find out the guy's black and a member of the congregation, how much do you want to bet there's no way this will be prosecuted as a hate crime? Because, I mean, I can make it a hate crime. Okay, it was a hate crime against black people and against the black church if a white supremacist did it. But since a black guy did it, isn't it a hate crime against Trump? Isn't it still a hate crime against the church? He still burned the church. So, I mean, who decides that? I guess that's the biggest question, Marty.
Exactly. And then so now this person, if it were still called hate crime, goes before a jury, and now the jury sees that word hate, and like you say, everybody jumps on board that this is a hate crime. Well, a jury, over half of them are going to jump on board and say, wow, this is a serious crime. This guy must be guilty because the prosecutor tagged this word hate on the front of it. And now the defendant, who's supposed to have some sort of due process, is supposed to be considered innocent, now have to defend themselves against a prejudice which may or may not exist because, like you said, it's so subjective.
There you go. Good stuff, Marty. We appreciate you. One more call on this, and then I want to tell you about Ivanka Trump. Let me go to Dan, who's in Colorado. Hi, Dan.
Hi. I wanted to let you know about an incident that happened about the year 2010 in Denver. The Democrat headquarters in Denver had their windows smashed, graffiti spray painted on the building. You may remember it. And the Channel 4 Denver news reporter said that they might think that it was done because of Obamacare about to pass. And it turned out it was a 20-some-year-old kid who did it, and he worked for Obama at the Democrat headquarters in Denver. And the story just disappeared after that was found out.
Yeah, I'm looking it up quickly here, and I appreciate it, Dan. Thank you. 08 race worker held in damage to Colorado Democratic headquarters. If this is the same story that he's talking about, this is from the Denver Post. One of two, this is from 2009, August of 2009. One of two people suspected of shattering 11 windows Tuesday morning at the state Democratic Party headquarters has an arrest record and a history of helping Democratic political candidates, public records show. Police said that at about 2:20 a.m., 24-year-old Maurice Schwenkler, now in custody, and an at-large accomplice took a hammer to the picture windows, displaying posters touting President Barack Obama and his health care reform efforts. Early Tuesday, Democratic Party chairman Pat Wack said the damage to her building in Denver's Art District was a consequence of an effort on the other side to stir up hate. She tempered her statement after Schwenkler's political history was revealed. Quote, what I've been saying is there's a lot of rhetoric out there from both sides of the spectrum, Walk said. That's what's been disturbing to me. People are saying a lot of things not appropriate for civil discourse. Actually, it's not what she said at all. As the caller said, as Dan said, she was actually blaming it on the right, blaming it on the, quote, other side, stirring up hate. For weeks, people on both sides of the healthcare debate have rallied, blah, blah, blah. Schwenkler charged with criminal mischief and has to make his first appearance in Denver County Court today. And again, this is from 2009. Accused of doing an estimated $11,000 in damage. There you go. There you go. So again, the left is quick. And by the left, I mean pop culture. I mean Hollywood. I mean the music industry. I mean the DNC. I mean the alt-left. I mean all of them. They are quick to point the finger. And point the finger of blame and the finger of hate toward the other side. They are unapologetic in blaming the other side for anything that goes wrong. And when they find out that it wasn't the other side, is what we get. Nothing to see here. Move along. Nothing to see here. 1-800-383-9624, joepags.com. Stay right here.
This is the Joe Pags Show.
right, glad to have you. Welcome. It is the Joe Pags Show. 1-800-383-9624. JOEPAGS.com. JoePags.com. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, email. It's all right there. Do me a favor. Shoot me an email. I haven't done much with the website in a while. I just haven't. I haven't focused a lot of attention on it. We got all the social media where we could all contact each other that way. But what would you like to see on the website? Honest question to you. What would you like to see on the website? I'm not really sure. I mean, I've looked at some other websites and gotten some ideas there. We do have the station list there. If you're listening online and you want to listen in the car, we're adding a bunch of stations. I'll put a posting up soon on exactly where all the stations are. Hopefully, a lot of you will get the show now where you weren't getting it before. So, yeah, I definitely want to hear from you. It's, again, joepags.com. Go there and shoot a note to me and let me know what you think. All right? All right. So let me give you this story about Ivanka Trump, and you may or may not have heard about this. Ivanka Trump was auctioning off a private coffee in New York City or in Washington, D.C. Private coffee. Can the daughter of the president-elect offer up a private coffee for money? Here's the story from the New York Times. Eric Lipton and Maggie Haberman wrote it because it takes two people to write anything in the New York Times. I remember the day when I worked 19 hours, at a TV station and did 5 or 6 different reports. Never really needed somebody to help me write the stories. It was weird. This, you need two people to write one story. Available to the highest bidder, coffee with Ivanka Trump. That's the headline in the New York Times. Ozan Özkurul, a London-based investment manager, found a creative way to gain one-on-one access to the new first family. He bid nearly $60,000 to have a cup of coffee with Ivanka Trump for a charity event she was hosting. Mr. Özkurul, I'm not sure how he says it, wanted to meet with Ms. Trump, who was considering playing an informal role in her father's administration, to gain insight into topics like President-elect Donald Trump's possible future dealings with Turkey and other nations where Mr. Özkurul invests, he said. Quote, the nature of my business, we talk to a lot of different governments, a lot of politicians and lawmakers across the world, Mr. Özkurul said in an interview on Thursday, adding that he recently had a conversation with the president of Argentina. You end up getting a better sense of what the modus operandi will be. Most of Mr. Özkurul is one of several high-profile bidders in a feverish competition to win time with one of Mr. Trump's children. Other bidders include the owner of a Tex-Mex restaurant chain in Houston who wants to press Mr. Trump through his daughter about immigration policy, and a real estate executive and fringe presidential candidate from Florida who wants to send a message to Mr. Trump about election fraud. Now, they may not get a chance to enjoy coffee with Ivanka Trump in New York City or D.C. by winning the auction on lot blah, 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 hosted by a New York company called Charity Buzz. The money was to go to a foundation led by Ms. Trump's brother, Eric, to benefit St. Jude Children's Research Hospital of Tennessee. Kind of changes it, doesn't it? Let me just see something. The headline doesn't mention it. The caption doesn't mention it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It takes 5 paragraphs for the New York Times to let us off the hook and let us know that the money raised will go to St. Jude Children's Research Hospital of Tennessee. By the way, I believe it's been canceled because all these ridiculous ethical questions were raised by idiots like the New York Times and other far alt-left radical idiots. Again, it originally said, click here to bid on a private coffee with Ivanka Trump in New York City or D.C. to benefit the Eric Trump Foundation for St. Jude, Charity Buzz, and then there was a catalog of the items. Oh, yeah. The New York Times made it seem as though Ivanka Trump was offering up an opportunity for you to pay her a bunch of money to sit down and gain access with her dad, who will be the president soon. That's what the New York Times just did. Story goes on to say, now that it finally dropped the other shoe and told us what it was really about, the charitable fundraising by Mr. Trump's children is problematic, he said, ethics lawyers said, because of the unusual role they're playing in the transition process, with Ivanka Trump and her husband Jared Kushner attending meetings the president-elect had with executives from major technology companies and with the Prime Minister of Japan, and Mr. Trump's oldest son, Donald Jr., helping to select the nominee for Interior Secretary. The Obama administration prohibited any member of the first family from directly soliciting charitable donations, said Norm Eisen, who served as an ethics lawyer early in President Obama's tenure. Mr. Obama and his wife, Michelle, have attended occasional charitable fundraising events, including the Congressional Black Caucus annual dinners. The Obamas also allowed their daughter's high school to auction off magazines they'd signed. Mr. Eisen said, but they did not auction off access to themselves. Come on, dude. This was to help out. I've been to St. Jude a couple of times. I've done the telethon a few times. If you're listening in Albany, New York, we did it on WRGB Channel 6 along with Sue Nigra and Liz Bishop. We raised money for a great cause. There is nothing about this auction that smells like pay to play. And now you're talking about $60,000 or $70,000 that won't go to children who are suffering with fatal diseases. That's just stupid. Congratulations, New York Times. You have once again proven that you're a bunch of idiots, pop culture. Bye.
Dirty Pop.
All right, Karina, make it happen. What's going on?
So Alan Thicke's death certificate was released today,
Okay.
and I guess when he had the heart attack, he was taken to the hospital, and he died 3 hours later in surgery because of his aorta tearing.
Wow.
So it ruptured in surgery, and I think he died during the surgery.
So he had the heart attack, but didn't kill him. What killed him was the surgery to try to fix whatever was wrong.
Right.
All
It's
right.
the same thing that John Ritter died from, actually.
Did he really take a selfie on the way?
I haven't seen that. I've seen stories, but I haven't seen anything. I haven't seen the selfie.
Okay.
I think his son took a picture of it, joking around, but just to say that they were there. I don't think he knew it was that serious, I guess.
Wow. All right, that's it for us for now. For Karina, for Paul, Joe Pags. Back tomorrow, same time, same place. We'll see you then. Bye.
You're listening to Joe Pags.
Clear.
All right, bro. Good job, man.
All right. Thank you very much. Have a good night.
All right. See you tomorrow.